Myself, Mr. Namit Kurtarkar. So today I'll be discussing about the adverse effects of painkillers. So before we move towards what the adverse effects of painkillers, first we have to know what is a painkiller. So painkillers are the drugs which are used to achieve analgesia, that is relief from pain. It in medical terminologies, it is also called as analgesics. So the most pain relieving medications fall into one of the following groups. So analgesics can be classified into non-opioid painkillers, anti-inflammatory drugs, compound painkillers, and opioid painkillers. Paracetamol. So this paracetamol is a non-opioid painkiller which is most commonly used. And paracetamol is available over the counter and it's often the first treatment for mild to moderate pain. You may also take paracetamol in combination with a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, that is NSAID. So what are the risks and side effects of paracetamol? Side effects are very rare, though some people develop a rash. Paracetamol can also damage your liver if taken at high doses. Be aware that many other products also contain paracetamol, so you should include these in your daily totals. These include cold and flu medications and compound painkillers. So, for example, suppose if a patient is having uh, a pain, right? So, in that case, what the patient will do is he will take a paracetamol, okay, like for example, Crocin 500 mg, or you can say Dolo 650 mg. Now, in this case, if a patient or a person is having a cold, okay, or an allergy, so in that case, what he will take? He will take Sinarest LP, which contains levocetirizine along with 250 mg of paracetamol. So in that case, what is happening here? Here already the person is taking 650 mg of paracetamol plus he is taking the 250 mg of paracetamol which is present in the Sinarest LP, right? So here there will be, if he's taking for a different time interval in a day, so that might cause an excess amount of paracetamol in his body, right? So that in turn will lead to toxicity. Okay. So he should make sure that whenever he is taking a particular drug, so he should see what are the composition of that particular drug and what are its dose. So paracetamol may not be suitable if you need long-term pain relief. So paracetamol must be used in lower doses than usual if you have kidney problems. It should also be used with caution if you have liver problems. Right? So as I said earlier, if you are having a liver problem, then taking paracetamol is at high risk because paracetamol, if you're taking it for a longer term, it causes a hepatotoxicity, that is liver toxicity. So you should stop consuming alcohol when taking paracetamol because alcohol also causes liver toxicity and taking paracetamol along with the alcohol will aggregate the condition of the liver toxicity. So you should not take alcohol with paracetamol. The next drug here is aspirin. It is used for mild or moderate pain and can be bought over the counter from pharmacies. That means you do not require a prescription. The risk and side effects of aspirin. Most people can take aspirin. However, you may need to be careful if you are over 65 years old, asthma, had stomach ulcers at any time in your life. Yes, so before we move forward, so what is happening in case of asthma is aspirin blocks COX2, not COX2, COX1 enzymes, which leads to decreased production of thromboxane A2 and prostaglandins. This in turn leads to the overproduction of pro-inflammatory leukotrienes, which causes exacerbation of asthma. So in this case, because it is causing an exacerbation of asthma, it shouldn't be prescribed in case of asthmatic patients. Then if a patient is having stomach ulcers or if you have a stomach ulcer at any time in your life. So because what is happening here is when you're taking aspirin, it will increase the secretion of HCl in the stomach, right? So when there is excess amount of HCl in the stomach, that will lead to ulcers. Okay, so patient who's having a history of stomach ulcers shouldn't take this aspirin. And severe liver or kidney problems and having a bleeding disorder such as hemophilia, which is when your blood doesn't clot properly. So this is what a condition wherein if a patient is having a hemophilia, that means the blood doesn't clot properly. Now what is happening here? Aspirin, apart from its analgesic activity, also acts as an antiplatelet agent. That means it will not allow the activation of these platelets, due to which the blood clotting won't take properly. So if a patient is having hemophilia, what in case for a patient having hemophilia, the blood, if there is a damage, the blood will flow in excess, right? So there will be excess amount of blood loss. So in that condition, if you are giving aspirin, that means the platelets are not activated and they won't get aggregated, and then there will be no clotting. That means there will be continuous blood outflow, blood loss, right? So that might lead to damage to the patient, or in case of excess loss, even death may occur. So a patient who is having hemophilia shouldn't be prescribed with aspirin. It should, and in case of pregnant, breastfeeding, or trying to get pregnant, for those patients also, aspirin should not be recommended, because in third trimester there will be increased risk of premature closure of vessel in the fetus heart. It also increases the risk of bleeding in the brain of premature infants. So for this reason, it shouldn't be prescribed for pregnant women. And also, if a patient had an allergic reaction to aspirin or NSAIDs. So for these conditions, aspirin shouldn't be prescribed or recommended. The next drug is ibuprofen. So ibuprofen is commonly used and can help with pain and inflammation. It can be bought over the counter without a prescription. So this ibuprofen can be bought in a tablet, capsule, liquid, spray, gel, cream. So risk and side effects of ibuprofen. You shouldn't take ibuprofen if you are pregnant unless prescribed by the doctor. Have ever had a strong unpleasant reaction to aspirin or NSAIDs? Had a stomach ulcer at any time in your life? Have severe liver disease? Or are taking low dose aspirin for cardiovascular reasons? Now, apart from this, there are other NSAIDs, that is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which include naproxen, diclofenac, mefenamic acid, indomethacin, COX-2 inhibitors, which are a newer type of NSAIDs, and these include celecoxib and prelecoxib. So, majorly the risk and side effects of NSAIDs include stomach aches, diarrhea, headache, drowsiness, feeling dizzy, and the most common is the stomach ulcers. So the picture which has been shown here, it is of mainly of the stomach ulcers. So here you can see as there is a perforation here, right? So stronger and slow release NSAIDs are available on prescription, which can be used for rheumatoid arthritis and other types of inflammatory arthritis. You shouldn't take more than one type of NSAID tablet at a time, or take NSAIDs with aspirin, because this you can see when you're taking more NSAIDs, that will lead to most of the NSAID, what they do is they increase the acidic secretion, right? So that will cause and stomach ulcers. So there are NSAID gels and creams as well. A number of NSAID gels are also available as gels, creams, sprays, or patches, which you apply to the affected areas. So these are known as topical NSAIDs. Some of these, such as ibuprofen and diclofenac, are available over the counter. Others, such as ketoprofen, are available only on prescription. Now, topical anesthetic in the sense, guys, this should be applied at that affected area. For example, if there is a pain or inflammation in your arms, so these gels or sprays or patches, whatever it should be applied on that particular arm, okay, that affected area. So it will show its effect topically by absorbing through the skin. The next category is compound painkillers. So before we move to the compound painkillers, first I will just go through the opioid painkillers and then lastly we'll go with the compound painkillers. So the drugs which we have seen before, all these drugs they are basically acting peripherally, right? That means they are not acting on the central nervous system. And because of they are not acting on the central nervous system, they are called as non-opioid painkillers. Whereas now which we are going to see here is those are opioid painkillers. That means these drugs will show its effect on the CNS, central nervous system. So opioid painkillers can sometimes be used for moderate to severe pain when other painkillers haven't worked. Pain is considered severe when it interferes with your daily life and you have to take frequent rest. Now, some of the opioid painkillers include codeine, dihydrocodeine, tramadol, buprenorphine, fentanyl, morphine, oxycodone, and tapentadol. So these are the drugs which are mainly going to act on the central nervous system. So what are the risk and side effects of opioid painkillers? Side effects of opioid painkillers include feeling sick, constipation, drowsiness and dizziness, which increases when drinking alcohol, not being able to concentrate, and then there will be breathing problems. Now these effects you can see, this is mainly because it is that these drugs, opioid painkillers, they will act on the CNS and alter its activity, right? So because of this, you can see some of these different side effects. Now, mixing opioid painkillers. Mixing any opioid painkillers with alcohol or tranquilizers means that having an overdose is more likely. This can cause a coma, breathing problems, and in some cases, death. Now, what is happening here is opioid painkillers act through depressing the CNS, right? Now, when you're taking it with alcohol and or tranquilizers, so what alcohol and tranquilizer does is it also acts by depressing the CNS. So, opioid painkillers will depress CNS, alcohol or tranquilizer also will depress the CNS. So, it will potentiate the activity. That means it will potentiate the depressing mechanism. This in turn will lead to what? Coma, breathing problems, and in some cases, death. Addiction. So addiction is one of the main problem with respect to opioid painkillers. So opioid painkillers are safe to take if you follow the instructions given to you by your doctor or pharmacist, and always you have to take the recommended dose for the recommended time period. So the major drawback with this opioid painkillers is you can't take this for a longer period of time because it will cause addiction, and you have to, for that reason only, you have to take it for a very short period of time. Now coming to the compound painkillers. So compound painkillers are made from a combination of two drugs. So these are usually a standard painkillers such as paracetamol, aspirin or ibuprofen or any NSAIDs plus a low dose of opioid painkillers. So here you can see this paracetamol, aspirin, ibuprofen or any other type of NSAIDs, they will be working on by the peripheral route, whereas the opioid painkillers will be acting on the central nervous system, CNS route. Yes, so the opioid painkillers combination will be codeine or dihydrocodeine. So some of the examples which come under compound painkillers are codamol, which includes codeine, which is a opioid painkillers, and paracetamol, which is a non-opioid painkiller. Then cocodaprine, which includes codeine and aspirin, and codidromol, which includes paracetamol and dihydrocodeine. So here you can see one you have a opioid painkiller and a non-opioid painkiller. That means this usually we give for a patient who's having a very severe pain. That means the drug will show its effect on periphery also as well as the on the central nervous system as well. Yes. So here I will just come to the things which you have to be remembered before using analgesics. Analgesics should be used strictly as directed. Read the instructions on the label and take the recommended dose. Taking more than the recommended dose will not increase the positive effects. and may cause unpleasant side effects such as vomiting, diarrhea, or dizziness. Analgesics should only be used when in date, that is, the expiry date is on the packet. After the expiry date, do not take any of these drugs. If the pain still persists even after taking the drugs, you have to consult your doctor. So, this is the reference.